Hey, this is Hans from Dakota Angler and Outfitter in Rapid City, South Dakota. Today we're going to tie a sunken Trico spinner a la Ed Engle's from his book Tying Small Flies. I've got a Tiemco Competition Series nymph hook in the vise. I'm going to use some Tiemco 16-aught ultra thread. And the first thing we're going to do is tie in some of my favorite tailing material, Coq de Leon. You can use other hackle fibers or some microfibbets if you like. Tie those in and adjust them to length before I wrap back the rest of the way. I'm not going to really bother to split those. I guess I can. I'll just split them even though they have 3 tails. I'll just split the clumps into 2 clumps just to give it some flair. After that, we're going to tie in a piece of black ultra wire, the back of the hook. When I tie that in, I make sure that it stays along the side of the hook as I wrap forward. I want it to stay in place, and I wrap about 2/3 of the way towards the eye of the hook. Then we'll wrap nice tight body of the wire. The reason why you would tie a sunken spinner like this is that at the end of a Trico hatch, the fish continue to feed on Trico spinners. Even though they quit rising, they're feeding on the spinners that have sunk below the surface film. And they'll just follow those down as more and more of them start to sink. And that's where they start to find good numbers of Trico spinners. Then they'll feed just below the surface or even a foot or 2 below the surface on those Trico spinners. And you can extend your Trico fishing by quite some time by just switching over to this sunken spinner pattern. It's awesome. Fish below, a little larger dry fly as an indicator, a couple feet of tippet, and just keep fishing that same run with this sunken spinner. Now I'll take some clear or white Antron in front of that ultra wire, figure 8 wraps, to make sure that that's anchored in. And then we'll tie in a thorax by dubbing some UV ice dub, black UV ice dub. You can make a fairly fat thorax because Tricos tend to have a fairly fat thorax. Sometimes they get tied fairly slender, but on the real thing, they're fairly fat. And so same thing with their wing. Their wing is pretty full, so you can tie a fairly full wing. As I dub this, I want to avoid catching any of these wing fibers if I can. Not always easy to avoid, but if you can do it. I just periodically tighten that dubbing down. Once you've dubbed that in, we can go to the front of the fly here and do our whip finish. Tighten that up, trim off our excess. Now I can trim our wings to length, just flare them out a little bit. And they can be fairly long because the actual wing on the Trico itself is much larger than the body. Kelly Gallup had a good suggestion of drawing the silhouette on a piece of paper from one of the naturals on your body of water and then laying your fly on top of it and making sure that the silhouette of your fly is equal to the silhouette of the natural. So there's the wire body that gives it a little weight and helps it sink. Nice thick thorax. Got our tails on there. Awesome fly to have in your Trico box. Not a lot of people fish this way. They just give up once the fish stop rising. But throw one of these on below a parachute Adams, a couple feet below it, and keep on fishing. So, another trick for your bag. I'm Hans from Dakota Angler and Outfitter in Rapid City, South Dakota. Check out this video and others on our website, flyfishsd.com, and you can also purchase the materials to tie this fly on our web store at flyfishsd.com. Thanks for watching.